All right, welcome back to the rest of the story. Hope everybody's day was great. Good Saturday evening. Right now, I'm headed out to check on Dad, see what's all going on. Just got done unloading the gravity box there. See what we've been doing to get the bin full, or to fill this bin, is Ryan's just running around with the grain cart after Dad and coming back in and filling that M&W wagon full. We didn't use Dad's Easy Trail wagon yet, but that is coming. It was just a matter of convenience. The M&W was already hooked up to the 7600, and we just didn't take the time to switch around wagons. And Ryan can stay well enough ahead of Dad. It's not like Dad's getting ahead of us. But we actually got quite a bit of beans in that bin already. Everything that we're going to be combining the next 2 days yet. Yep, I'm going to have hopefully at least 2 days of videos to shoot. We're going to be putting everything into that bin that I just drove past because of the whole river not really taking soybeans at the moment. They said they wouldn't take anything in September, and honestly, looking at the current basis and the price that they have right now, I don't want to. Since the last time I talked about basis to you guys, the price has actually gotten worse. It went from 80 cents under to 90, was it 90 or 95 cents under? And I didn't talk to him. Somebody mentioned that, I think it was up in the Dakotas, that their basis is running right around a $1.10 under the futures. So, I don't know. Myself, we're mainly just focusing on Dad's crops right now. Ryan and I really, be quite honest, guys, I'm really not even excited about harvesting anything of mine right now. It can stand in the field for another week or two as far as I'm concerned. It can dry down. My soybeans, I do have some sold for October that I actually have the price locked in at an acceptable price, very luckily. I'm really, when I can't, say it enough that I got really lucky with locking in the basis separately from the futures this year. But first year doing it, and just got lucky. But here, Dad's rolling right along. He's only averaging right around 2.5 miles an hour. The combine doesn't really want to, well, for the way the current beans are, the way the stalks are, the combine really does not want to go much faster. You start risking throwing the beans out the back. This soybean head, it actually has those grain grabbers on it. They're those little aftermarket plastic cones that are drilled on or screwed on to the auger in the back of the head. Those help keep the head from slugging as you're going through the field. What I mean by that is what happens without those grain grabbers on there is that the way this head works, and it's really annoying, is that it'll cut the bean stalk off, and instead of if it doesn't get caught in the auger, like if it can't reach it, and the reel is running right above it, but if it's one plant or two plants or a few plants aren't quite tall enough for the reel to catch them, that what happens is you're going through the field, you get a buildup of plants. You get a little pile built up. And what happens is they get built up, they fall over on each other until that reel gets to the point until they get tall enough where the reel can catch them, and the reel will flick back this little pile of soybeans into the head, and the reel, or the auger, catches them and pulls it into the combine. And the problem with that is you get, instead of a steady flow of material going into the machine, which is what the machine wants, you get a sudden slug, which is just a clump or pile of beans all at once. And the combine does not appreciate that. I'm really trying to avoid, we all are, plugging this combine, or any combine for that matter. I have heard horror stories from my grandpa about it, back in the day, back when my grandpa first started farming, he didn't have a combine, but his brother did. And my grandpa's brother used to come and combine our oats for us. Well, he just bought, at the time, it was a brand new or new to them combine. It was a self-propelled. At least this is how, and modern enough that they had self-propelling combines. And the guy that sold the combine to my grandpa's brother told him that they can't put enough material through that combine to plug it. Well, they proved him wrong, and they weren't set out to prove him wrong. It's just that the guy said for the size of grain head they had on it, that they wouldn't be able to plug it, that the combine would be able to handle any material that was coming in that they would be able to put into it. And Grandpa said that I think they only made like 400 feet down the strip on the first day, first pass of cutting beans, and he said they plugged that thing completely solid. From what I understand, and this is the horrific part about it, is they said it took them a whole day to get it dug out to where they could get the machine to work properly again. And that's really stuck with me. I've went to school with a couple guys that, in college, we were all ag guys for the most part, and I went to school with a couple guys that had similar accounts that when you plug a combine, you pretty much just shot your day. But I'll take their word for it. I would much rather not have to put myself through that. So I'd rather just take our time and let the combine do its job at its own pace. This combine is, oh gosh, like 220 to maybe it might be 250. I can't remember off the top of my head. I do know that it has a power bulge up to like 280, I believe, when you run the unloading auger. So it has enough power to run the combine and unload on the go while unloading the I'm getting ahead of myself. While running the unloading auger. We don't do unloading on the go too much when we're running soybeans, mainly because we don't need to. It's not a very high yielding crop. We're running 60 plus bushels to the acre, and it really isn't hurting us to just stop the combine and unload. Corn's a different story. Corn runs, I don't know, what Andrew say. Andrew heard local accounts that anywhere between 190 and 210 around the area, and this is a pretty broad area. Andrew drives like 2.5 hours from Darlington in any which direction for as far as area that he covers. So, yeah, I didn't ask him like exact specifics as to where he was talking about, but the guys that are combining corn, that's what they're hearing. He's heard on the high end, he heard 250, but that was just one farmer. But it's way too early to tell, guys. There is a guy, a farm, just up the road from us that they combined out a few acres of corn, but they actually switched back over to soybeans. Or they switched to soybeans. I haven't seen that they actually cut any yet. But our corn is actually pretty wet yet. We actually stand a very good chance at having probably 90+% of our soybean crop done. Oh, actually, let me rephrase that. We have a pretty good chance of having 100% of my dad's soybeans done before we even start his corn. It's looking pretty good, actually. If we had to, we'll put all of his beans into storage and we'll haul it out throughout the week here, because we really do have probably about 2 weeks worth of drying yet naturally of corn standing in the field before we'll go ahead and start combining corn, which I'm perfectly fine with. None of us are actually really too carried away or getting too excited about harvesting corn yet. Actually, you get very close to it and you really examine it. It is pretty green yet. The ears have quite a bit of drying to do. It's spotty, it's variable, but I'm still cautiously optimistic that we'll a little bit more surprised about our corn yields, but I don't know. But that's the end of this ride. I'm probably going to do a few more going ahead into harvest. But at that, we'll close off with you guys watching us unload the combine. So, I really appreciate you watching. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. Harvest videos aplenty are on their way, so stay tuned. Bye.